For decades, concussions have been a prevalent issue in all sports. A concussion is a blow or jolt to the head that can change the way that the brain normally functions. Other people know concussions as mild, semi-serious brain injuries, however they are not mild at all. Concussions can occur both on and off the field, but some of the most serious concussions stem from sports. Specifically, the National Football League has recently been known for causing very severe head injuries that unfortunately have a negative impact on the rest of an athlete's life. One helmet-to-helmet hit can cause an athlete to wake up with a headache every day for the rest of their lives. In order to better protect athletes, specifically within the National Football League, governing bodies must put more legislation into place in order to help prevent concussions in sports before they happen. In recent times, the general population has become slightly more educated about concussions and the severity of them. However, this is only because concussions and other head injuries have plagued us for so long in such a negative manner that people are just becoming aware of them. Prior to 1995, almost nothing was known about this subject. Oftentimes, athletes were allowed to finish participating in their sporting events after suffering a concussion. Ex-Philadelphia Eagles defensive back Andre Waters suffered many concussions throughout his career. At the end of his career, he started seeking help for depression as a result of his continued issues with concussions and how they negatively affected him in the long run. At the age of 44, he tragically committed suicide. Concussions are very hard to gauge, and a hot debate in modern sports is diagnosing them and evaluating the severity of them. Coaches are always pushing for their athletes to be able to return to play. No coach wants to have one of their star players sidelined for a week with a concussion. However, many times the coach does not put the welfare of the athlete first because all they care about is winning. This is especially true in college football, where coaches frequently pressure trainers to clear players. Recently, about 100 trainers from college football teams were interviewed. Almost half of them stated that they were given ultimatums and felt a ton of pressure from the coaching staff to clear a player who recently has been diagnosed with a concussion. Once a player is already concussed, they are much more likely to be concussed again soon after. We need to better educate our coaches, referees, and athletes on the severity of concussions, and more laws need to be enacted to help prevent them and spread general knowledge of the subject. If our coaches and referees are knowledgeable, they will be able to better spot concussion symptoms on the field. However, concussions as a whole are sometimes unavoidable. Many athletes try to power through their continued concussion issues, and few are actually smart enough to walk away from the sports that they love so much. By walking away, an athlete can avoid second impact syndrome. Second impact syndrome is when consistent headaches, fatigue, and irritability become present after multiple concussions. Concussions have the potential to do much more damage to younger people than they do to older people. A doctor at the University of Michigan conducted a study on this subject and stated, "Before about 19 or 20 years of age, you're still gaining neural connections, so any effect that has the potential for changing that final course of path has a serious potential to damage someone's cognitive ability. No game is worth dealing with second impact syndrome or damaging your brain." Moving forward, the government should put into place more regulations to help prevent and deter the high number of concussions that occur in sports, specifically football, and the negative consequences that we see as a result of them. After a player suffers a head injury, they should be required a certain number of days off from all physical activity. After this has passed, they should have zero physical contact when returning to practice for a defined number of days. After this, they should have to pass a mental impact test. When all of this is complete, the athlete should need to be cleared by a third-party doctor or physician, where the coach is completely out of the picture and uninvolved. Additionally, the 3 strikes rule should be implemented. Here, if an athlete has suffered from 3 severe concussions, then they must stop playing their sport. In closing, more regulations and legislation needs to be put into place by governing bodies in order to help protect the general welfare of athletes in our country. Concussions and head injuries are becoming more and more relevant, and this pattern is not expected to go away anytime soon. So it is important that we embrace it moving forward and understand the best possible way to combat concussions to minimize the negative damage and effect that they have on us.